Hello, 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 hello. The usual minute here before we start introductions. God bless the internet. It drives me crazy. Yes, it's John Beattie in his miserable winter mood. And it is February the 24th, 2014. Welcome to Dinosaur News, our second week, produced by the British People's League. Dinosaur News, our second week, daily videos, 5 days a week. The news we are giving is without narcissism, basically about our own operation and the operations of those who operate for our history, for our people's proud history, and into the future. Those of British roots, British stock, with white skin. Check out the other videos, folks. I have to look skyward. We've said all the time, we do not dislike other races who are behaving themselves any more than we dislike our own kind who are behaving themselves. Every race has its evil creatures. But the biggest evil creature on the planet is genocide. And assimilation of all the other races is snuffing out our white race, our British roots, our heritage here in Canada, Australia, motherland Britain. We speak particularly to those of British stock because our roots are the same, obviously. We have the same constitutional monarch. In America, the white resistance fighting for white rights, if I was down there, I would pitch in with one of the bloggers, various blogs, etc. But they are on a different tangent. You know, we're proud of our British roots up here. In the States, of course, there was a revolution against the monarch, etc. The white backlash in the States, there's another slight variation from what we of the British People's League feel. I've noticed in all the blogs in the States, and young people coming along full of vim and vigor, they call themselves the white nationalist movement. You get the feeling they're implying that anyone who stands up for white people is part of the nationalist movement. Well, what is the nationalist movement to these people? Well, quite frankly, it's the white Nazi movement. All of their heroes were the Axis powers during the war. I don't know why they just don't call it the white Nazi movement. White nationalist movement, my foot. I mean, check all the blogs down there. Standing for white people, and they've got that ugly attachment. And it hurts genuine groups such as the League of the South. The League of the South that we, the British People's League, promote as the best white man's group in the United States. And yes, many members of the League of the South are of British descent. We have some very good people who are active members in the League of the South. And as long as each group stays in its own sphere of influence, that's great. But again, this white nationalist movement, well, it ain't this boy's movement, it ain't the movement of the British People's League, or our British roots, or our friends abroad. And no, I do not want to get into divisive talk. I just want to make a clarification. Clarification, that doesn't sound too negative. Okay, we each go our own way. We've had good responses for our first week of the Dinosaur News. Good responses from our blind list, and that's who matters the most to this boy. People who have been in touch for at least 10 years, given great advice. One will come out with an editorial, whether it's from Ottawa or Oshawa or Edmonton, and then we forward that on to the other blinders. And we knock out addresses to keep anonymity. BritishPeoplesLeague.com. you want to get in touch, BritishCanada@gmail.com. BritishCanada@gmail.com. Yes, when you see this boy with a big fat turtleneck on again, you know it's damn well cold again. And as the Queen Mother said when she toured the East End after the Blitz and the bombs dropped, she said, I can look the East Ender in the eye because I'm staying in Britain with the family and we too are facing the bomb risk. Well, switch that to 2014. Beattie boy here can look you pensioners in the eye out there that are just as cold in your homes. It's the pensioners who suffer the cold the most, including this boy. Just looking up at the calendar, so the pensions come out on the 26th, so I'll be able to get another 90 liters of oil and see how long that lasts. I pour my own oil. I scoop it from the pump at the gas stations, pour my own. I can't afford $400 to drop a full tank. So that's the cry of woe. But I do want you to know out there, especially those who pitched in with the donations in our first week of $200. It's fantastic. And that money goes to expenses of the British People's League. We have a webmaster that has to tweak the pages every now and then. We have to pay for a server. We use an American server. Does a good job for us, etc. Mailings and whatever. But my pension covers the building here, the home, the house, where we do the broadcast from. And that's the way it'll stay. Now, we would, of course, use some donations to bring in some talent to share the videos with me to spruce up the image of the British People's League. And I'll explain on these broadcasts always what we're doing with the donations that come in. But again, I'm quite astounded. First week of the dinosaur news. And I guess there's a few people out there don't want us to go the way of the dinosaur. And they've pitched in financially. Fantastic. And you can do it however you like through PayPal. I find that to the post office box, old snail mail working pretty good. So, you know, we're known as John Beattie / British People's League, so you know who's running the British People's League. John Beattie / British People's League. If it's a check, to be honest, just John Beattie, Beattie. You can put down below in the memo section for the BPL, but that's where it goes. So that's to John Beattie, Beattie, or you put British People's League, P.O. Box 691, Post Office Box 691, Minden, M-I-N-D-E-N, Minden, Ontario, Canada, KOM, postal code, KOM, that's Kiss Our Mothers, KOM 2KO. And cash worked fine with some last week, and, you know, tucked in a couple of sheets of paper, conceal it well, and never missed a dime that way. But there's PayPal, or whatever way you prefer. Okay, I'm glad to get that part of the business over with. And speaking of business, you know, I ran a business for 20 years, successfully. Like so many small entrepreneurs, it wasn't super profitable, but it did bring in enough for me to acquire a house, a root foundation where no landlords can get nervous of our politics and say, well, gee, John, I don't know, this is pretty hot for me to handle. You're liable to get publicity. Ain't going to happen anymore. We're solid. Full time for the dinosaur news. Peeking at the notes, obviously. Well, there's another little variance from the white groups down in the United States. Read a poem in one of the newscasts last week, the Dinosaur News, to do with the white man's inventions, the white man's supremacy at inventions. What? Did I say supremacy? Yes, I said supremacy. The white man is being supreme at inventions. that have benefited all the races on the planet. Here's my good old Oxford Dictionary, 1957. Supremacy, page 1299. Being supreme, highest authority. Supreme, highest in authority or rank. I checked back last week's Dinosaur News and get that poem. I'm a white supremacist. I believe that my ancestry and the inventors have allowed me to call myself their descendant. Therefore, if they were supreme, I'm supreme, a white supremacist. Too bad, get used to it. Chew it up. Well, we're really, on this Monday, this cold, damn February 24th, rocking the boat here. I'd like to cover our own internal news of those British groups around the globe that are working together. And again, daily, if I miss the daily plug, but new listeners all the time. So take note, folks. Get your pen handy. The web page for our friends in Britain. Candour, C-A-N-D-O-U-R, candour.org.uk. Candour.org.uk. They're a solid bunch. They have the feel for the different groups over there who are, some are battling it out in court as usual. It's tragic. But Candour is a clear cultural organization. And the dogs outside are yapping in agreement. It's not the dogs, it's the cat. Okay. No great interference. We're solid here. We're relaxed on this cold winter day. Glad you tuned in. So now, another controversial remark by John Beattie. So within recent months, of course, there's been the civil wars, the globe, and usually, we just talk about organizations that are working together. I don't get any outside news often. You get that every day on the newscast, the horror, the butchery, the civil wars that are going on. Well, Syria's been going on a bit for a while. Now you've got the Ukraine. And it will develop into a civil war. The Russian-backed faction will be showing its muscle shortly, I'm sure. No one likes civil war. Well, yours truly has been working on a book for the last 3 years. I'm ashamed to say a few pages a year or whatever. I've got all the ingredients. I've got all the ingredients for the big pot of stew on this book. Slowly, we will get it produced one day. It, too, is about a civil war. In fact, the title of the book is Canada's Secret Civil War, 1978 until, with a question mark. The dead of night, things did go on from 1978 to the mid-1980s in Canada. Certainly stopped Quebec separation. Little newspaper clippings, tanks on the main street of downtown Montreal in broad daylight. But people are busy paying their mortgage or soccer moms or hockey games, whatever. So a little clipping about tanks in downtown Montreal didn't stir up much. The Mississauga train derailment. Pierre Trudeau's walk in the snow when he decided to resign. Half his cabinet having accidents. Don Jameson, Newfoundland, falling off a cliff, nearly died. John Munro, the Hamilton riding big shot. Big black eye showed up at Parliament. Big black eye. Said he fell. I think he said he fell in his bathtub. Things went on, okay? Neither side wanted it in the public eye, or the Canadian dollar would have been Zippo. Absolutely Zippo. The book has the evidence. We've got the newspaper clippings. I've had a couple of typists in to assist over the years, over the last 3 or 4 years. And as I go over the notes while things went on, I had a direct contact with the board of directors of the Anglo-Saxon, Anglo-Celtic side of the war, our peoples versus the multi-cults versus Trudeau's people, and he brought in plenty. People like Conrad Black tried to sit in the middle. He hid out Cardinal Emmett Carter at his mansion. Why would the Cardinal, the Archdiocese of Toronto, be hiding out in Conrad Black's mansion? So as I talk like this, I say to myself, Beattie, who's going to believe any of this? One of the typists said, it's entertainment value. Well, people died in the dead of night. My son is named after 3 dead Toronto policemen who helped stop Quebec from separating. People died for this, so I don't enjoy the thoughts that people would read a book for entertainment value. But the typist is a very realistic, intelligent person who made it clear to me, if they read it for entertainment value, that's the way it's got to be. But if your conscience Beattie, you've got to get that book out. That's got to be as well. So that's the scoop there. You've got a civil war in Syria, civil war in Ukraine. Why does anyone think that Canada's history would be any different? Why would we be the only ones on the planet whose constitution was changed by Pierre Trudeau against the will of the Anglo-Celtic founders, the Anglo-Celtic descendants, the Anglo-Celtic power structure? We're no different than any other white people on the planet. And there was a civil war went on in Canada. And again, the only reason it wasn't public, the Canadian dollar would have been zero. So both sides sort of have withdrawn, but we succeeded in stopping Quebec from separating. So let's say Beattie finally gets the book published in 2014. Compare it with this broadcast. Well, when you get something really keen to yak about, time does go by. Check out my personal Facebook. It's on the homepage, British People's League homepage. There's an easy link. The reason I say that is, have a look at the few friends that I have. Now there's one young tough guy, a recent new pal. He's got a symbol of the Celtic cross, the circle with the Celtic cross doohickey, tattoo. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But just because we have friends who are tough doesn't mean we're friends with the Axis powers from the Second World War. I had to get that off my chest. New listeners won't even know what I'm talking about. We're patriotic British Canadians. We're patriotic cousins of Europeans who want to call themselves patriots. But let's get that word patriot out there. Well, I guess the first couple of weeks of March are going to be damn cold, so good luck to you pensioners out there with the cold. Not that much longer, hopefully. Well, thanks for tuning in today, folks. God, you never know what Beattie's going to come out with. Freedom of speech, for sure. Just careful in what we say, but we get the meaning across. Okay, so that's it for today. Dinosaur news continuing throughout the week, Monday to Friday. 20 minutes approximately. We'll talk at you tomorrow, February 25th. God bless each and every one of you.